welcome back to the Biblical Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Hector Alvarez, and on today's episode, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and give you a little bit more perspective as to how I've gotten to this point in my life, from corporate success to God's purpose. And before we begin, I would like to take a moment to start off with a Bible verse, which will express what I'm about to speak about. So, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:33. I guess you can say that the last two episodes were just the beginning, a test run, if you will. But now it's becoming a journey that is taking a deeper, more meaningful path. And today I want to open my heart and share a story that's deeply personal to me, and that's how God completely transformed my life. From being a 17-year-old who turned his back on the church to becoming a more successful businessman and ultimately discovering my true purpose in God's kingdom. And this journey that has shaped who I am today. But before we dive in, let me share a powerful verse from Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. My story is living proof of this promise. My story begins in Paterson, New Jersey, at Templo Sinai. Like many young people, I thought I had it all, figured out I had all the answers. During a conversation with Reverend Benjamin Sayas, my pride got the better of me. And looking back, I'm reminded of Proverbs 16:18. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. That moment of ego led to 33 years of separation from the church. The same length of time Jesus walked this earth. God's timing is never coincidental. During those years, I pursued education with a passion, earning degrees in architecture, business, computer science, networking, and art. But as Isaiah 55:8-9 tells us, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Let me expand on this with a deeper explanation and significance to my story. Looking at my wall of degrees, architecture, business, computer science, networking, and art, I thought I had my life perfectly planned out. But as Isaiah 55:8-9 tells us, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. This powerful verse perfectly captures my journey. You see, I thought those degrees would define my path. I had it all planned out. I'd be an architect, designing buildings, maybe start my own firm. But God's plan was infinitely higher than mine. Just as the heavens tower above the earth, his vision for my life far exceeded my limited human understanding. My second job out of college was in data management, an internet company named 98 Avenue. It seemed like a detour from my dreams. I was managing massive databases, tracking user behavior, and learning the intricacies of giant digital platforms. But little did I know that God was preparing me for something bigger. Those skills became the foundation for Perrealo, the first Latin DVD magazine. And what started as a simple idea to showcase Latin culture and music through DVDs evolved into a groundbreaking digital platform. We were tracking user engagement, building community features, and using data and analytics to understand our audience. All skills I learned in that detour business. Perrealo grew to reach over 1 million users a month, becoming a cultural touchstone that helped launch careers and connect communities. When Red Bull, yes, the multi-billion-dollar company, approached us to create Pataria de los Gallos, we had the technical infrastructure and the cultural undertaking, and we understood what it was going to take to make that a success. Those 33 years away from church weren't wasted years. They were preparation years. Just like Joseph's time in Egypt, what seemed like detours were actually God's direct path. Each degree I earned, even though unused in the traditional sense, was a tool being shaped for God's purpose. Architecture taught me how to build systems and structures. Business gave me the foundation for kingdom entrepreneurship. Computer science prepared me for the digital revolution we're all going through right now. Networking showed me how to connect communities. And art developed my creative approach to problem solving. Looking back, I see how God's architecting, something far greater than buildings. He was designing a platform for kingdom impact. Instead of designing physical buildings, God led me to build something far greater. Businesses that would impact millions, platforms that would connect communities, and eventually a ministry that would help others align their entrepreneurial spirit with God's purpose. Think about it. When Isaiah delivered these words, he was speaking to the Israelites who were trying to figure everything out on their own, just like I was. They had their plans, their ideas on how things should work. But God was saying, my plan is bigger, my vision is higher, my understanding is deeper. And that's exactly what happened in my life. None of those degrees went to waste. They all contributed to who I am today, but not in the way that I was expecting. The problem solving skills from architecture, the business acumen, the technical knowledge from computer science, even the creativity from art. God wove all of these together in His perfect plan, creating something far more impactful than I could have ever imagined. This verse isn't just about God's plans being different from ours. It's about them being infinitely better, infinitely wiser, and infinitely more purposeful. When I look back now at my journey from data management to Arrealo, from real estate to finance, I see how God's higher ways were guiding me all along, preparing me for this very moment, speaking to you about building businesses that honor Him. This understanding of God's higher purpose could be woven through your business successes and challenges, showing how each step was part of His greater plan. My business journeys reflect the parable of talents in Matthew 25. God blessed me with abilities and opportunities. What I originally saw as just a business venture, I now recognize as God staging the grounds for a greater purpose. Take Perrealo, for instance. We thought we were just creating a DVD magazine, but God was using it to build bridges in the Latin community. Those million monthly users, they weren't just statistics, they were souls being connected through culture and creativity. The Batalla de los Gallos partnership with Red Bull, which helped me launch in 2005, taught me something profound about God's timing. While we saw it as a business opportunity, God was using it to give way to young artists as a platform with and for their gifts. It's still running to this day, showing how God's plans far extend and far reach beyond anything our initial vision could ever even think of. Even the 2008 real estate crash, which seemed like a disaster at the time, was God's way of pivoting me towards a greater purpose. As Proverbs 16:9 tells us, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. My entry into finance wasn't just about business, it was about stewardship. Remember Joseph in Egypt. He wasn't just managing resources, he was preserving lives. Similarly, God showed me that. Real estate marketing wasn't just about helping agents market themselves, it was about helping families and find their homes and building communities through property ownership. Having my first mortgage branch wasn't, just about money. It was way beyond just lending money. It was creating opportunities for families and teaching financial principles. Commercial financing, more than just deals with numbers, it supports job creation through business funding and now building kingdom influence in the marketplace. The amazing thing about God's higher ways is how He uses our business skills for kingdom purposes. Like Paul using his tent making skills to support his ministry, God was preparing me to help others see their businesses as ministry platforms. 3 realizations that have emerged in my journey that completely transformed my understanding of business and purpose. The first was the fundamental of redefinition of success. I had to unlearn everything I have ever thought or even knew about business metrics. What I discovered was that true success is not measured in profit margins, but in kingdom impact. While I once obsessed over market share percentages, I began to count success in lives touched and hearts changed. The traditional return on investment calculations gave way to something far more meaningful: eternal returns that couldn't be measured on any spreadsheet, but were evidenced in transformed lives and communities. The second realization was about purpose, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. I began to see that business wasn't just a way to make a living, it was a platform for ministry. Every office became a pulpit, every transaction an opportunity to demonstrate God's love. The wealth we generated wasn't meant to be hoarded, but was a tool for kingdom advancement. Most importantly, um, I realized that the influence I had gained in the business world wasn't about personal power. It was a responsibility given by God to glorify Him and His advance within His purposes in the marketplace. The third realization was perhaps the most profound. It was about vision, and it completely altered my perspective. What started as a desire to impact my local community expanded into a global vision for kingdom influence. Um, I watched in amazement as God took my temporal goals and replaced them with eternal purpose. The most beautiful transformation was personal. The drive for self achievement that had dominated my early career melted away, replaced by a burning desire for kingdom advancement. I no longer wanted to build my own empire. I wanted to extend God's kingdom through business. These realizations didn't come all at once. They were shaped through successes and failures, through peaks and valleys, through moments of clarity and times of confusion. But each step of the way, God was patient, showing me that His plans were higher than mine, His purposes grander than I could imagine, and His vision for business far more transformative than more profit statements could ever declare. This brings us to the biblical entrepreneur model, which isn't just a business strategy, it's a divine calling. Like Bezalel in Exodus, who was filled with God's Spirit to be skilled in all kinds of work. We're called to a higher purpose in business, just as God specifically anointed Bezalel with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge in all kinds of craftsmanship. He's calling modern entrepreneurs to operate with divine skill and purpose. The first pillar of this model is seeing business as a ministry. This paradigm shift transforms everything about how we operate. Every transaction becomes more than just an exchange of goods or services. It becomes an opportunity to demonstrate God's character and love. Each employee isn't just a name on a payroll, but a divine appointment. Someone God has specifically placed in our care for His purposes. Even the challenges we face and take on, new meaning. It's like becoming opportunities to demonstrate God's faithfulness. When we view our business through this lens, every aspect of our operation becomes sacred work. The second pillar is operating with kingdom principles. This means excellence becomes an act of worship. We give our best not just to outperform competitors, but to honor God. Integrity moves beyond being just good business practice. Um, it becomes our testimony to the world, showing what it means to operate under God's authority. Service transforms from a business strategy into a ministry, um, reflecting Christ's own example of servant leadership. These principles aren't add ons to our business model, they are the foundation that supports everything else. The third pillar focuses on creating lasting impact. This is where we move beyond quarterly results to build generational blessings that will outlive us. We're not just building businesses, we're establishing kingdom culture in the marketplace. This means making decisions that might not make sense on a traditional balance sheet, but create lasting spiritual dividends. Our goal becomes nothing less than transforming marketplaces for Christ, creating environments where God's principles and presence can flourish. These elements work together to create a business model that stands apart in today's marketplace. Um, it's not about being profitable while also being Christian. It's about being profitable because we're operating according to God's principles. When we align our business practices with God's purposes, we create something that has both temporal success and eternal success and significance. So, as we close today, remember your business journey isn't about success, it's about significance. God's higher ways are being worked out through your entrepreneurial calling. Every skill, every connection, every challenge is a part of His greater purpose. So let's start each day in prayer. Seek God's guidance, submit your plans to Him, and listen to His direction. Implement biblical principles, fair wages, ethical practices, excellent service. Define kingdom purpose beyond profit metrics, community impact, eternal perspective. This is Hector Alvarez reminding you that in God's kingdom there are no accidents, only appointments. So until next week, may you see your business through heaven's eyes. And remember, success in God's kingdom looks different from worldly success. As we read in Matthew 6:33, when we seek first His kingdom, everything else falls into place. May your work be worship, and may your business be a blessing. God bless you all.